Hello, I'm Ricky Rogue, and this is my first game dev log for my game, Sealsfa's Last Stand. Now, this is my first ever game I'm making. I have very little experience. I've done some stuff in college, but it was all in Flash. I'm not really much of a coder. I can do maybe websites, but I decided after trying to get other people to code for me that it's probably best if I just learn to code myself. So, I'm using Game Maker Studio 2. Because it's super easy with all the scripting and everything. I enjoy it. I like it. So let me get into what this is first. As you can see here, the opening is concept art. Sealsfa's Last Stand takes place in the city of Sealsfa, upon its walls, which is based on a tabletop RPG I do with a bunch of friends, a freeform, not like D&D or anything, because I'm not a fan of D&D specifically. But it's like a freeform role-play game, and basically I was the DM, and my players pretty much did this. And I liked the idea so much, I decided I should probably make it into like an actual game. So the world takes place in it's low fantasy. There's magic, there's science, they're both together. It's great. In this world, magic is dying out. Not because magic is going away, but people are rejecting magic due to how the magic system is. So, this big war going on because of it. Well, because of other things, because no war is one thing, but whatever. That's getting off tangent. So that's basically what the world is for this. So let me go in, before I start showing you coding and everything, which is what I really want to do, I want to show how far the game has come. Now, this is 0.2.0. Kind of a little more than that, because I'm still working on it. I'm halfway through development of 0.2.1. But yeah, I wish I did this earlier when I had the characters just walking and everything. This is a logo, which is work in progress, and then the game. You'll note that there is no music, and that's specifically because I muted it, because the sound is all copyrighted stuff, and it's just placeholders for now. So, yeah, I have a bunch of different modes. Score attack is just getting to a score, hitting a target score. Endless is mostly for debugging. You can just keep playing and playing and playing as much as you can until you get a high score or whenever you want to quit. Or you die, because there's a way of losing. There's still a lose condition. Controls is for controls and quits to quit. And you use a keyboard and mouse, because I have a controller controls for it. But I think I'm going to phase it out. I don't know. The people I have playtesting it kind of go back and forth on it. So let's show you score attack. Alright, see here the prompt comes up. Looks pretty nice. It needs to be a little more detailed. Nothing here is finished. So, as you see, you have 2 NPCs on the side of the walls. The riflemen. That's what I want to talk about. Oh, what was that? Oh, that's a bug. Oh, wow. I'm sorry, I didn't even notice that. That's a... I should fix that. Okay, so, when you, while you're doing, the game, you're, basically trying to keep the people away from the walls, which I've totally failed at because I was too busy concentrating on something else. But yeah, the riflemen are programmed to hit, nearest enemies. And the wall has mounted cannons where you can hit space and blast them away. It gives a good satisfactory, pushback. There's a lot more enemies than there used to be. I upped the enemy count. I might have to lower that. That bug is killing me. Yeah, and there's a lose condition and everything. There's music in the background, but that's not a big deal. But let me go into endless. But yeah, the point is to keep them away from the wall. You notice that in the middle of my terribly drawn background, because I just want something that looked kind of good and test out backgrounds. It's better than what it used to be. You notice that the river, they get slow on. Because they're wading through a river, they want to slow down. I'm hoping maybe eventually putting a mechanic where the water comes down and gets it out. Washes some of them away. You can also notice on the bottom left, there's, I have my global variables, showing for, debugging reasons. And then I also have, you can see the kills and the wall counter on the bottom. And on the top is a percentage for how closed the... oh, I probably should pay attention more to the game. The percentage on top to show the percentage of the transition. I used Sean Spaulding's tutorial for most of this because, like I said, it's my first game. So I have a lot of tutorials I've been going through. And I'm proud to say, like, a lot of this stuff I kind of figured out on my own. Just going through some basic, like, going through the Yo-Yo games directories and seeing what other things do. Just knowing basic logic. Like, just if, ands, and thens. So yeah, this is pretty much that. I'm just going to quit out. But yeah, that goes on. And that's all there is so far in the game. So let me go to the thing I really want to show is the code. So that's the room. If I go into my workbench, well, let me actually go select an object. So the one thing I did on my own, which became super difficult, actually the first thing I want to show is in scripts. Nah, not script objects, in scripts themselves. Is the enemy randomizer, which is an entire thing I did myself. I set up this script, very simple. I'm gonna probably change it later on. But basically, it sets up, like, with enemy random 1, which is the name of the script, object, the object that I want spawned in at a random speed, which is set by, random spread is set by, where is that set? Objects, random spread, I think is the X. Yeah. So x1, which I probably should set as x1. So yeah, x1 is the argument for argument 1. Oh, it should be x. Sorry, I'm dumb. So x sets the argument here for the x coordinate where I want it to start, and then y top, y bottom for the random range between the two y's. And that does that. The only problem I have with this is one with enemy spawner. I probably should figure out how to get it so it's not with enemy spawner. I want to put it on an enemy spawner and let it go. In this, the instance create layer, I'm thinking of using instance create depth. I think that would be better, so I don't have to put it on a layer, because I'm going to have different types of enemies spawn. I don't want them on the same layer for coding reasons. With that, that's one I created myself. The aimbot, I probably should get rid of, because I don't think I'm actually doing anything with this. Since I got the rifleman to aim without it. So now they're riflemen. Specifically their gun. So to create there's the variables for that. So I want to get them to shoot the nearest enemy on their own. And I want them to constantly shoot at them without always hitting them with I want to say a good chance of missing. No percentage specifically, because I have it set random for missing, and you'll see how that is. So starting with actually I can go to F12, so I can just show all of this at once. So here we got the firing delay, which is set to -1. So every step, the firing delay goes down. There's a reason for that. It's to keep them from rapid fire shooting, which was something I had to fix. If instance exists, which is enemy, which is the enemy that you see going across the screen, you notice that they're all squares. And firing delay is less than 0, then I want them to do this. And this is where it got crazy, as I had to keep putting things in and out of parentheses just to get them to shoot the enemies. Because sometimes they would, like, constantly shoot, or they would constantly spawn bullets on top of bullets as it's shot, or even worse, I would have one that would be shooting up and then shooting down at the same time, and I couldn't figure out what made it do that. Like, the bottom one would shoot up, and then the top one would shoot down, then the bottom one would go down with it before it even hit anything. It was weird. Then I have if the distance to enemy is less than 1,000, because I wanted it to be close. I didn't want them to start shooting as they spawned. I wanted them to actually get onto the board. And I wanted them to go a little bit more into the board before they start shooting, because obviously you should be the one doing most of the shooting. You're playing the game. And then on top of that, with the creation of this layer of the bullet, just to keep the bullets from constantly spawning, I want the speed to be 50, the direction to be a point direction. Basically, a point direction gives you the current direction, the current place that you're starting, which is XY, wherever you're starting, wherever it's spawning initially. Then I want it to go and target the next spot, the next XY, to be the enemy, which I use instant nearest, which basically picks the nearest instance that I set up, which is XY0, enemy test. And its X coordinate, the .x sets that's the thing I want from it. I want to ignore the Y. I just want the X. And again, instance nearest with the Y specifically. And then plus random range, -5/5, whatever. So that way, it will miss sometimes. Whatever number that comes out to, whatever the direction that results in, I want to also, somewhere between -5 and 5, I want it to vary. So either it's going to remove 5 or add 5, or remove 4, add 4, anything in between. Or it might not. It might go directly, because if I take this off, they will hit every time perfectly. And I think the bullet curves too, and I'm not 100% sure on that. I haven't proven that. And so far, I haven't play tested this version yet. No one has touched it. It's the first time anyone's seeing it. So, no one knows if the bullet curves or not. And then after that, it plays the sound, SFX Gun 1, which I got from, like, a free site. I might change that eventually if I can find a way to record it on my own. And firing delay is 40. So it sets it back up to 40, so we can't shoot for 40 more frames, as the firing delay is going to go down. So that keeps them from shooting rapid fire, and they're muskets. They take a little while to load, even the most trained person. And especially these kind of muskets are a little different because I designed them differently. So that way it makes more sense that they wouldn't take the gun down, put the powder in, push the bullet in, load it up. Like, they're pretty much putting the gunpowder in the back, and then they're putting the bullet in, and then shutting it, and there's like a magic detector. They're magic bullets, kinda. It's weird. Hopefully I'll be able to describe it later on when I get to, like, story elements. So that's that. That's the rifleman. And then I have with the enemy is the enemy spawner set, which I made that sets an alarm every time I want an enemy to go. And the range is different. With this, I had to set up for different game types. For game type 0, which is score attack, I wanted them to start spawning after start, which start only occurs after a prompt goes away. Because if the prompt comes up, it used to be that when the prompt came up, nothing else happened. That's what I wanted. When the prompt comes up, that's when something would happen. But when the prompt came up, the instances were starting immediately, and I want to stop that. So that's why I put the stop it, is basically saying until this global variable sets up, you can't do anything, which I have in, not script objects, is in main menu? No. It's not in player canon. Not in boundaries. I wonder where I put it. Oh, it is in script objects. So yeah, the prompt comes up dynamically. So here is where it all goes up. So when you're on game type 0, this sets up, and it sets up the start here. So it draws in the sprite, and then I have the kill 300 enemy soldiers text spawn like this. That way, if, let's say, I change it and say, you know what, I need like 500 enemy soldiers, then I can do that. But no, 300 is good enough, because that's already hard enough. If scroll equals false, when the thing stops scrolling, which is in here of how I get to scrolling, Then I want the image alpha to fade away. For some reason, it fades super fast. I gotta figure out how to slow it down a bit. But still, once the image alpha is equal to 0, then I want the global start to equal 1, and then the instance is destroyed, so that way the prompt is no longer there. And then it sets it up, and then that's all there. And if I show you this, this is the background, obviously. This is the base level. You notice that all the other things are dynamically done through invisible objects. So if I take away the background, which I want to show, this is where it used to be, except the background used to have green, and the blue used to be on top of it. The blue is the river, and that's what the enemies have to touch to go through. And as you can see, the river kind of somewhat matches it. It's a little off on one end. I did that kind of purposely, because once you get into water, you're not like, once you're in the water, you're still, you know, not like slow. You slow down. Your momentum slows down. It's not insta slow. So I have it a little bit that the river goes out a little bit more, and then on the end, for most of it at least, this area not included, it's still as it goes out. Like if I flash this back and forth, you can see the river is almost exactly on the shore there, but there's a little more shore on the other side. Yeah, I'm not really a fan of the background. I kind of just threw it up really quick in Photoshop and was like, yeah, that's good enough. Just to show the background and show that the river, and make sure that the river was lined up. I have like a Photoshop file that has everything set up so I know which way is which. And the river can be moved however I want through that. I probably should have made it its own sprite on here, but decided not to. So that's pretty much it for 0.2.1, I suppose, until I finish the rest of the stuff, like adding maybe another enemy. I want to put music sliders. Another reason why I didn't put it even with the copyrighted music, which I wouldn't mind for a DevLog entry, especially if I put it low enough and muffle it. The problem with it is that I can't talk over the music. It's so loud. And I could lower it in-game, but I really don't want to. I want to do a slider, so that way I can have it as loud as I want, and then bring it down. And I'm going to try to set the slider naturally to halfway, to 50%. But that's what we're going to... Next time I do this, hopefully I do this more often, you'll see 0.2.1 plus whatever I'm adding to it. And I'll talk my way through those stuff. So I hope you enjoyed this. I will see you later.